Fausto Giornelli's warning is also addressed to Italy, and the issue of democracy has been fought since millions of people took to the streets to say no to war, and also our country went to war, so there's a lot to do about this. However, with regard to the state of Israel, the Jewish state and democracy are a contradiction. But the problem is that in this stage of affairs in Israel, most of the ministers, most of whom are settlers, claim that they are perfectly willing, and I'm sure that they're willing to sacrifice democracy because the Jewish state comes before anything else. So we are at a stage where what you were saying is implemented. And it's it is no coincidence that what is asked of the PLO and the Palestinian Authority is to recognize the Jewish state. If they don't recognize the Jewish state, they're going to go ahead. So this is a major problem for democracy, and above all in Palestine and Israel. So thank you. But before the questions, I would like to greet with great joy and with great thankfulness Silvana and Michelangelo Frammartino. Today we spoke about his son. They're not only his parents, but they're extraordinary people who have used their pain, their grief, to put it to good and draw teachings from it. And they created this foundation, the Frammartino Foundation, that continues to work for human rights, and not only in Palestine. So thank you. I think that we really owe you a lot, because you teach us a lot about life. So thank you, Tiziana. At this point, we can open the discussion. You have to use the microphone, thank you. Sergio Bassoli. I have two hats when I'm here. One is that of being a representative of CGIL, the national trade union, left-wing trade union. I have worked with the trade unions of the Middle East, and then the House of Peace, because I too am one of the volunteers who work here at this house and the foundation, the Frammartino Foundation. But having said this, I would like to address two questions to our guests, seeking to go in the direction of people who are engaged in civil society, what needs to be done, what sort of contribution can be given to the political, peaceful, non-violent and just solution to this conflict. So two questions. One is this, and I would like to consider labor as a point of reference. Well, I think that we all agree on the fact that after 70 years, we can say that politics and the institutions have failed to comply with international law and comply with the conventions and resolutions of the United Nations. If it were the opposite, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here to discuss about these issues. So, given the fact that there is this weakness of the institutional framework, we need to invent other solutions to identify a solution that is sustainable and that has respect for the self-determination of peoples that is recognized by the United Nations and international law. Now, in your view, labor, and I'm asking Avram and Norith and Jafar, Our friend from Bethlehem has left, but the other guests who are here, could Labour be a path that can help us build up relationships between these two communities, at least those sections of the communities that want peace? Labour as a system, labour between Palestine and Israel. Well, just a few data to understand what we're talking about. 56,000 Palestinians regularly go to work to Israel in conditions of exploitation without any form of protection. 80,000 Palestinians go to work in Israel in an irregular manner, and 30,000 are illegal workers in the settlements, in the occupations. Another 20,000 Palestinians work along the Jordan Valley on the farms, and most of these people are miners. In Jerusalem, more than half of the Palestinian population works they work for companies from the West. So there is an integration which is full of exploitation and which isn't regular at all, that could be transformed into an area for mutual engagement for both male and female workers on both sides. Do you think that this could be an avenue that could be useful? So you would begin with the right to dignified labor. Could this be a contribution for building up between the two communities something in common that could be a precursor for a peaceful coexistence? Another question has to do with the peace movement since Time for Peace through to the present day, have fought to make sure that there would be a peace process that would eventually lead to coexistence and a just peace between Israelis and Palestinians. In the 90s, through to the year 2000 and beyond, through thousands of difficulties, we have taken action in the area of peace to make sure that the Oslo Agreement or Oslo Pact would be implemented. There was a common project, namely the Oslo Agreements, whether we like them or not. That is what we had. And on that project and on other peace initiatives, the movement for peace involving Palestinians and Israelis, we did things, we moved, we started doing things. From the year 2000 onwards, we ran into huge difficulties, and I would say that the movement for peace, both in Israel and Palestine, and at the international level, with regard to this theme, went into a stalemate. There is no action from civil society for peace that can be called this name. Probably what is missing is what I said earlier, that is a joint project, something that we can work on together, an action for peace that should bring together the Israelis and Palestinians on something. What could that something be? Well, very likely, there isn't a broad consensus. There aren't any forces or groups in civil society that can promote this. And because what is missing is a direction in which to go. So this is the question that I address to my Israeli friends. In your opinion, is it possible? Well, this morning, Abraham in particular made some proposals that were visionary in a positive, with a positive meaning. In order to build peace, you need to have a vision. Well, is it possible to build a joint project I'm not interested in 1, 2, 3, 4 states. I mean, we have one state and we have huge problems, but Israelis and Palestinians don't, the issue isn't the number of states, but is there a common project, a joint project that they can work on? Can we work out a coalition? Can the forces of civil society come together? And what are the, what is civil society like in Israel? Because without these elements, it is truly difficult for the international community to do anything. Well, thank you, Sergio. I left you all that time, not for your question, but I would like to ask the others to be more concise. But Sergio wanted to give a presentation, but it wasn't possible to give him time, so that is why I gave him so much time.